Hey everyone, welcome back. And if you're new, welcome. My name is Adelina and I make videos about living in my tiny house and living an intentional life. Today I'm going to make Instant Pot lasagna soup for you, show you how to make it. I've had a lot of requests to do some recipes in the Instant Pot to show you just how easy it is to use. And this is a very simple recipe. It doesn't take a lot of ingredients, it's easy to make, and it's super fast. Here are the ingredients to make lasagna soup in your Instant Pot. Now, if you don't have an Instant Pot, don't stress out, just make it on your stovetop. It'll just take longer to simmer, but you don't need an Instant Pot. It's just really super easy, and like I say, people have been asking how to use the Instant Pot. The first thing you'll need is a jar of pasta sauce. Now you can use just crushed tomatoes, but I like to use pasta sauce because it's faster. It already has spices and seasonings in it, and it just makes your job so much easier. 1 jar of pasta sauce. How many milliliters is this? 640 milliliters. Sorry, I don't know how much that is in ounces because I'm in Canada. And then we're going to put some broth in there. Once this is poured out, we're going to fill it with broth or water, and then a tablespoon of the bouillon, and then some seasonings. Like, I really love this Clubhouse roasted garlic and pepper seasoning, but really any mixed sort of seasoning blend, your favorite, will do. Some Italian seasoning, because after all, we are making lasagna soup. I like to add a little crushed chilies, just to add a little zip, but you don't have to. Some oil to saute your onion. Some noodles. Now, if you're going to use regular size lasagna noodles, that's what the recipes usually call for, and that's awesome. Just use about 9 or 10 and you break them up into small pieces. I actually happen to find these little lasagna noodle pasta shapes in the bulk barn, and so I bought some. So that's roughly 2 cups. And again, that's about 9 or 10 actual lasagna sheets that you just break up into bite-sized pieces, not too big. You want 1 onion, 2 or 3 garlic cloves. These are 2 like big babies, so I'm just going to use 2. And then a cup of frozen spinach. If you've got fresh, just throw in a couple of handfuls. At the very end, cutting board, knife, something to crush your garlic. So what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to chop my onions and garlic, and then we'll get started with assembling in the Instant Pot. To the bowl of your Instant Pot, add a little bit of oil to saute the onions. If you don't use oil, you can also just saute in broth or water, and then just press the saute button. Let me see. Saute button, which is down here. The presets to just saute for 30 minutes, but obviously you can keep pressing it if you need it longer, but that should be enough for you to soften the onions and the garlic. Oh, why do some onions really make your eyes burn and others don't? I just don't understand. But so I put the oil in there, and I'm going to add the onions, and I'm going to add the garlic. So if you weren't using fresh cloves of garlic, that would probably be about a tablespoon. So add anywhere from a teaspoon to a tablespoon, depending on how much garlic you like. I like a lot of garlic. I don't know if it's the Portuguese in me, but it's good for you. So we're going to let that saute for as long as it takes to soften, which should only be about 5 minutes or so. All right, the onions and the garlic have softened, and there are little bits stuck to the bottom, but we're going to take care of that. So now add your jar of pasta sauce. Oh, I can never get these open, but I have trick. There we go. And then you'll add 1 jar or can full of broth or bouillon. I'm going to use bouillon, so I'm just going to fill this up with water. Give it a little shake so we can get all that goodness out. And now, because I'm using bouillon, I'm going to add a tablespoon of this veggie bouillon. I would recommend that you wait until until you've added everything before you add salt and pepper, because your broth, your bouillon probably has salt in it and you don't want to have this too salty. So give that a good stir and make sure you scrape the bottom in case there's anything still sort of crusted to the bottom, because you want to get that up because it's flavorful, and also because if you don't, what will happen is when the Instant Pot tries to cook, it will give you a burn signal right here because of what's stuck to the bottom. So make sure you scrape it really well. So while that's warming up, we're going to add our spices. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. Obviously, you can adjust the seasonings to your tastes. And I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of this roasted garlic and pepper seasoning, or whatever sort of seasoning blend that you prefer. And I'm going to add just a dash of the chili flakes. Well, maybe a little bit more because I like it a little spicy, but just add a little zip. Then let's give those spices a good stir so that everything is mixed in. Now, if you're going to use frozen spinach, add it now. But if, like I'm going to do with this, if you're using fresh, then I would recommend that you add it after the soup is done, just before you serve it, so that it just gets wilty. So now we're going to add the noodles and we're going to set it to cook. Here's the thing about adding your noodles. You want to add them in and make sure they're fully submerged, but you don't want to stir them in so that any of them touch the bottom, because again, you'll probably get that burn alert. So let's just pour them in. I'll take you back down. Yours might be just broken regular size pasta shells, and push them in until they're all submerged, but don't stir them in. While you're here, give it a taste. Yum. Add whatever salt and pepper you think you need now. So what I'm doing is canceling the saute, and I am putting the lid on, making sure that this is set to sealing. What I did was, because I always forget which side is which because I'm dyslexic in real life, so I just put a little dab of nail polish there so I would know which side was sealing. Put it in there, turn it till you hear that sound, and now we're going to go to manual and make sure that it's on high pressure, and 5 minutes, which is what I want. Like I said, this soup is super easy, and like really the hard part is chopping your onions and your garlic. So it's a great recipe to make on a weeknight, and it has, like I say, lots of leftovers. If you don't have the Instant Pot, you can just cook it on the stove top. Once we got it to this point, I would put it on, bring it up to a simmer, and then lower it to a very low simmer and let it simmer until the pasta noodles are done. What's going to happen is, right now, the display just says on, and the little pressure valve is down. It needs to build up pressure so that pressure valve comes up and seals it, and once it does, you can't open this anymore. I would not recommend opening it even if that pressure valve isn't up, because it's building up steam in there, so just leave it alone. Once you've got it on, just let it go. So it will stay just saying on here until it builds up enough pressure to seal, and then it will start counting down from 5 minutes to 0. When it gets to 0, it will beep. And then I want you to do the quick release. Just stand back, take a wooden spoon or something like that, and then flip this to venting and release the steam. If you don't do that, if you let it naturally release, a lot of recipes you can let naturally release. But if you do that, because there's pasta in there, the pasta will be overdone. And that's the thing about cooking pasta in the Instant Pot. It doesn't take a lot of time, and you don't want to let it sit. One of the nice things about sauteing in here is that everything in here is already hot. So it will come to pressure fast, or faster than if you put everything in here cold and you didn't use the saute. So I used hot water to make my bouillon, and we sauteed everything in there, and we put everything in there and let it sort of come to a simmer. So this will come up to pressure fast. Again, that will help make sure your pasta doesn't get overdone. I'm still a little hesitant about cooking pasta, a lot of pasta dishes in here. I would rather do them on the stove, just because then I can be sure that the pasta is done to what I want. So we're just going to let that come up to pressure and then cook, and as soon as it beeps, I will be back. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. That was so fast, I didn't even have time to finish doing my dishes. Okay friends, it's time to release the steam. So I've gently, very gently moved it over here underneath my hood fan. I'm going to turn my hood fan on to high, so I apologize for the noise, but we'll just expel a bit of the steam. I'm going to grab my trusty weapon, and we're going to turn this to venting. Be aware that you're dealing with a device that cooks your food under very high pressure, so have some respect for it. Don't try and work around the safeguards that are built in. They're incredibly safe. Just follow the rules. There. Now let's open her up. Let's see what it looks like. One of the things that a lot of people don't know is that the handles here have little openings that actually hold the lid really well. Let's give this a stir. I think I'll just use a spoon. What I found is if you make the soup and for some reason, the noodles aren't quite cooked, just turn it to saute and just let it saute just a little bit longer until it does cook. But this should be done. So I'm going to grab a fork and give her a try. I don't want to burn myself. I always burn myself. So I'm trying not to do that on camera. Oh my God. That's perfect. Really good. I like to top mine with a little bit of Parmesan cheese. In the US, the same company goes under Follow Your Heart, and I really do like their Parmesan cheese. I like this and the Violife. They're my favorites. So I just like to add a little bit on top. That is it, guys. That is your Instant Pot lasagna soup. Just very simple ingredients that you probably already have in your pantry. It's easy to make on a weeknight because it's super fast. The Instant Pot in particular makes it really fast, but if you were somebody who doesn't have the Instant Pot, then you can easily make this on the stove and it will work out just fine. It just takes a little longer, but one of the reasons I love my Instant Pot is that I can use it on the days, well, I use it all the time, but I especially like it on those days when I've worked all day. Really, really yummy, very healthy. I really hope you try it. If you do, let me know what you think. You could add mushrooms, really anything that you would put in your lasagna, you can add to this. And if, like I said earlier, if you are using fresh spinach, I would have added it as soon as we opened the lid. I would have stirred that fresh spinach in then so it could wilt, but it wouldn't overcook. This is really good with a slice of crusty bread. And I do have a bread recipe on the channel, so check that out. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. The majority of my viewers are not subscribers, and I think that that's a shame because I'd love to have you as part of our family, and it's such a supportive community here. But also, when you subscribe and you comment and you like and you share, it lets YouTube know that the content is valuable, and then it recommends it to more people. A lot of people want to know what it's like to cook in a tiny house and how to, make things easier. And, well, I'm a single person cooking for one, and this makes, oh, lots, and you can freeze it. One of my kids is around at some point, and if I have more than I think I'm going to eat in a couple of days, I just send it home with them, and there are never any complaints. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys, and I will talk to you next time.